Hi there, my name is Alan and welcome to Design Dummy. In this tutorial, we will be learning about reviving and restoring photos inside of Photoshop, and also with the help of some new AI tools. Now, some of these tools have actually existed for the past year or 2 years, and we're just going to have a look at the workflow and see how you can benefit from this. And the example I'll be using in today's tutorial is a photograph which has, some drastic damage to it. It has the creases, it has the ripped edge, and it has the spider webbing. So hopefully, with the help of this new AI tool and some old techniques, we will be able to restore it to good health. So let's get started. The first thing we are going to do is simply duplicate this layer. The reason we are going to do that is so we can just have a comparison with how we started and where we are also heading. Now, duplicating layers, this is like common practice. We always duplicate layers because we want to make sure we have a backup of the original file. There are instances where you override by accident, or you lose the source file, or you need that point of reference. But if you don't make a duplicate and you make a mistake along the way, then you will suffer as a consequence of that. So it's just common practice. Make a duplicate. It doesn't hurt you. And that way you can always go back. So I'm just going to name this one Photo 1. And then I'm going to get straight into this AI workflow. So to do that, we are going to select our new layer, go to Filter, and then we'll click on Neural Filters. Now, inside of Neural Filters, which, like I said, has been around for a couple years now, and the photo restoration beta is still in progress. But if we just click at the bottom here, if you haven't already activated it, you can download it. It will take a while. Once it's downloaded, you can enable it. And the first thing I'm going to do is just increase all of these settings to the maximum. And the reason I do that is because when we're using AI, we want to have the highest possible outcome, and then we slowly reduce until we reach a satisfactory result. I feel like with the human brain, it's always nice to go overboard and then reduce to a point of satisfaction, which is what we're doing here. And as we can see, Photoshop has loaded and completely eliminated all this spider webbing, all these scratches. There are a few exceptions. We'll get to those in a little bit. But the next aspect of this is just to, like I said, reduce a little bit, especially some of these photo enhancements. What they tend to do is smooth out the skin or bring out the features of the face, which is not something which could be desirable for certain photos. But in this case, it looks like it did an incredible job. So what I want to do is just follow up with the noise reduction slightly, let's say about 30 or so. And what this is going to do is further smooth out the skin and hopefully get rid of some of these scratches on these children's faces. Now, at this point, I think we've reached a very good result. If I just zoom in here, we can still see those micro scratches. And actually, if we just reduce some of these enhancements even further, it's going to process this on the device. It's starting to look quite cartoonish in the sense that some of these textures have actually been smoothed out so much that we miss some of that human factor. But for the purpose of this tutorial, what we are going to do is leave it as is, just because I want to cover the other areas of how we're going to process this. And the next step with photo restoration is to add back color, and it's to colorize, which we can do with this filter or this AI setting. And as you can see, this photograph has literally come back to life, just like magic. And can you just imagine how of a miracle it would be if people from this era saw this happen, and to see this restoration happen in real time. So we're just going to add more saturation to the photo. I'm not going to mess around too much with the cyans, magentas, and the yellows for now. I'm just going to press OK. And as we can see, we have this photo. Now, the next step we need to take is restore this corner of this photo. And the way to do that is simply with the lasso tool. So we're going to select around this photo. I'm going to rasterize the layer just to make the workflow a little bit easier. Then I'm going to select around this corner like so. And then we're going to use the new generative fill AI and generate without any prompts. And hopefully Photoshop will recognize that this is a corner of a photo and it has some edges, and it's going to nicely line up this layer to be like a full photograph. And as we can see, it's done that perfectly. I'm not even going to flicker through the other options. So that's the base kind of restoration done, I guess. And now the next step, which I want to show you, which is quite revolutionary in the sense that beforehand we had to kind of use the healing brush tool, but now we have AI, and it's going to drastically change the outcome that we would otherwise have. So I'm going to just blend these two layers together, and then I'm going to grab the lasso tool one more time, and I'm going to go around this area which wasn't entirely restored. I'm going to press restorative fill and simply type in the prompt remove and press generate. Now Photoshop is going to do its calculations, and it's going to ensure that it's going to fill this white area and restore it in good health. Perfect, just like that. And we can take it a step further. You know, we can do some of these micro scratches like here. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm not going to go too overboard and show you guys the entire process, but I just want to show you once again that if we select these scratches, I guess, that the original photo had, Photoshop is going to do its render and pretty much paint over it, just like so. So what is the next part? Obviously, let's just do a quick review. Obviously, with these micro scratches, there are the traditional methods of going around it, or I guess doing it in a way which is going to be as good as it can be, and that would be with the healing brush tool. But just for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to move on to the next process. So assuming all is well and we've kind of fixed this area as well, this face didn't render out so well, so we would probably need to do it with a manual process like the pen tool, trace, and then colorize. But just for the sake of, let's just assume everything went perfectly and we're super satisfied. We would once again merge all of these layers, and then we would go to filter and then camera raw filter. And just like any traditional photo, we would raise the exposure, we would raise the shadows, we would dehaze the frame a little bit, reduce the contrast, and maybe perhaps even increase the temperature just a slight bit, and then press OK. And as we can see, just near perfect result, with some areas which didn't render well. But if we just compare this to this, it's mind-blowing. It's absolutely incredible. And this is just with a few clicks and not that much of esoteric knowledge, but just enough knowledge where you can press a few clicks here and there and get something which creates this outcome is absolutely spectacular. And we can take it so much further, but just to keep the integrity of the original photo, and if we were to frame this or perhaps pass it on to a relative, I think it would be just a great outcome. And maybe even an emotional outcome for someone who's held on to this photo for years and years and years and cherished this memory, and then received something colorized and fully restored. So that summarizes the very quick and easygoing AI workflow for reviving and restoring images. Don't forget about the healing brush tool and the stone, the pattern and clone stamp tool. Those are all necessities for this. And also perhaps even the dodge and burn, just to clean up maybe the wall and some of the dirt and micro scratches once again. But just for somebody that's starting out and wants to get familiar with the technology, this is a great outcome. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you in the next tutorial.